Recording in progress.
All right, so welcome back, folks. We have our core stability class and posture. Can't forget that. So a lot of this class we will be actually on the floor. Some movements will be standing, but let's just go ahead and actually we'll just warm up the movements or the joints and body parts that we're going to be using a little bit more today. So let's just go with the gentle trunk rotation. Our first set, I believe we're going to be on the floor. So a lot of these exercises that we do here, they're a little bit slower. I don't want to say that they're easier because they do require still some stability, which is, I always like comparing some of the movements that we do to a wall sit. So the wall sit doesn't require much movement, but it is very tense and it does require you to activate those muscles. Let's do our hip circles here. Come back. So a lot of these movements, like I said, there'll be planks, there'll be some ab movements, and then also some just static movements where we're doing not too much of an actual movement, but it does require your body to, use several muscle groups at a time. All right, and then big hula hoops. Yeah, so these competitions I went to over the weekend, it's a pretty expensive hobby, and I have a friend who used to compete in them. He just told me that he just retired recently, and some of these races, let's switch, they're in the car for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes more. So now that he's no longer competing because how expensive the hobby can be, and then let's do our snow angels, standing snow angels. He told me that he actually wants to get into trail running, and I'm like, no way. I was like, yes, like let's do it. So he's asking me for training stuff, and I think that I told him I think you have the one of the training components down already. He's gonna be okay because let's do our W's to Y's, because he has already that mental capacity of competing or at least enduring such a long event with his off-road racing. So now it's just a matter of getting the physical aspect into it, which I think it's definitely not easy, but not worrying about that mental barrier as much is a nice plus. So I'm excited for him. I think we're going to be doing some long hikes pretty soon. So, all right. So with that being said, we have our stability workout. So we have 4 blocks, and each block, our giant set, is going to have between 4 and 5 different movements. Okay, so our first one's going to be on the floor. We're going to be doing slow motion dead bugs, which I'll demonstrate. Then a regular forearm plank, a regular plank. We're going to be doing some ab work, and then isometric. And then we're going to have a bear crawl position, which we did the shoulder taps on. And then back to ab work. So it's a lot of isometric movements. And again, isometric movements are those or exercises are the exercises that don't require too much movement. Okay. So if you want to set up your yoga mat, go ahead and do that. Any questions before we start? All right, so if anyone was interested in the lobster down in Baja, it's in Puerto Nuevo. Really good lobster. Maybe some of you, Teresa, you've been?
Been there. It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So
my favorite.
yeah, it's I've heard people talk about it, and yeah, my wife and I went to Vegas about 2.5 months ago, and we ate at the Caesar's Palace hotel, and we had all you can eat lobster claws, and that does not compare to what I had over the weekend. So, all right,
Yeah.
I'll be Yeah. I'll be quiet now before I gain weight just talking about this stuff. So.
Baja, yeah, we used to go down there all the time
So
many
good.
years ago, and that was the hot thing, the seafood.
Yes.
Super good.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I'll be, and it's not too far, even if you just want to head down there early in the morning and come back for lunch. So slow motion dead bugs, we're here. So opposite arm, opposite leg. So we go from here, right leg, left leg, and right arm, and come back. Okay, we're just gonna do this slowly for 30 seconds. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So just pace yourself. Oh, that's a nice stretch. Oh, 20 seconds in. 3, 2, 1, and time. Whew. Good work. What's next? We have our forearm plank. So just a regular plank. Okay. Regular plank, just on your elbows and on your toes. So just flip over. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and up. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and down. All right. What's next? Let me see. What's next? We have our hollow hold. Okay, so the hollow hold is pretty much like a inverted Superman. So instead of being belly down, arms up, now it's gonna be on your back with your legs up and your arms up. Okay, so that's gonna be the hollow hold. If you gotta bring down your feet or your arms, you can. We'll start in 10 seconds. So again, we're just gonna be here and here, just holding your body. 3, 2, 1, and up. And there's a lot of shaking. "15 seconds in. We're at 20 seconds. 25. 30. Can we go 35? And 35. Alright, I'm gonna try to aim for 35 for some of these. Gonna update that. Alright, and then our isometric bear crawl position. That's gonna be here on our quadruped position, but the only difference is you get your knees off the ground. Okay, so from here, just push your knees off the ground, about an inch off the ground. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1, and up. Just hold. We're at 10 seconds. Remember, we're going for 35 seconds. We're at 20 seconds. 25. 3, 2, 1, down. Very good. 35 seconds. What's next? We have one more. And this is our straight leg lowering, okay? So for this one, I'm gonna move this chair. We're on our back. And your arms could be at your side, under your hips, or extended. And what we want to do is lift your legs up and down. Up and down. Okay, so that's going to work on your lower back and your hip flexors too. Also some of your core. Alright, we'll start in 5 seconds. So position yourself. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So up, down. Okay, if you need to rest, drop your heels and then repeat. We're at 20 seconds. $30, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! And rest. Okay. So this is where we rest. Catch your breath. I'm gonna update this. Grab some water. Oh, was anyone a little bit on the irresponsible side with their eating this weekend? Don't be shy. We have side planks next, pull-up press, bird dogs, and then thread the needles. So we'll be on the floor for the next set too. Ooh. See, like on Saturday, I had a decent sized breakfast. It wasn't anything ridiculous. That was around 7 a.m. and I didn't eat dinner again until until 5 p.m. So, but then I ate, I think it was like 5 or 6 tacos. So I felt like I've never fasted before, but that's what I envision fasting is like. That's how I would treat it. So, all right, we're gonna go on our side plank. I know we did this one already on our last class, but I know we have some folks that are in here that weren't in our last class. So, extra credit side planks, 30 seconds on each side. So let's get on our side.
How did you feel mentally
After eating?
after fasting?
Oh, I didn't like it. I felt upset. I was hangry most of the time. Ready and up. Yeah, and also, yeah, Kathleen, it wasn't like an honest fasting. It was like I just didn't I guess expect that to happen. I expected us to eat lunch around 1 or noon, and then it didn't happen until 5. And we drove on Saturday about maybe 300 miles. And so I wasn't mentally in a good spot. 3, 2, 1, time. I just feel like the twitch with my goals right now with my running, I just feel like fasting wouldn't make sense for me right now. I feel like I would put myself at risk and I wouldn't give the fasting idea a good opportunity. So I don't want to be biased, if I tried it when I wasn't prepared for it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. Because you still do it every day, right, Kathleen? Or you practice it often?
I try to do the intermittent fasting as much as possible.
So what's your time frame when you eat?
Well, I have like a little schedule. If I stop eating at 5 p.m., I can't eat until 9 a.m.
Okay.
And then if it's 6 p.m., then I can't eat until 10.
10 more seconds. I see. So what is that, like 16 or 18 hours?
16:8.
Okay. And time. Alright, so the palm press, if you remember, this is where we just push our hands together and press forward and then come back. So we're just kneeling. It's more for your chest, a little bit of shoulder, a lot of isometric work. 30 seconds. We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And press. Coming back. But I feel like somewhere in the last couple of years I may have like screwed up my metabolism, or at least mentally, when it comes to eating, because now when I see food, I love food. I mean, I could eat as much as I till I'm hurting, but I also look at it, from the macronutrients, where I'm like, okay, did I get enough protein on that plate? Like, maybe I should get 2 more tacos so I could make sure that I got the protein I need. Let's go 1 more. And back. Because at the end, after those 5 tacos I had, I still ate another slab of my carne asada, but just the meat and the avocado. And it was like, mentally I was just like, I want another taco, but I shouldn't have the tortillas, but I'm gonna get the protein still. And so I think I overthink it sometimes, but yeah, to say the least, I was still pretty full. Let's go with the bird dog. So this is when we are on our floors here, and then, so it's the opposite of the dead bug. We're gonna extend the left leg and right arm, and then we're gonna come back and then switch. Or actually, it's a hold, so it's more of a balance. So we're gonna spend 20 seconds on each position, okay? So left arm, right leg, and we're just gonna hold. Okay, we're gonna hold for 20 seconds and then switch to the other side. Ready? We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. So just keep that hold. Try to keep your arm elevated and your leg elevated at all times. 10 more seconds. And switch. We're here and switch. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Feel like my neck is getting better. I'm hoping this class is actually, we'll see, feels better than when I started. So, alright, we're gonna thread the needle next. So if you remember, threading the needle, thread the needle plank. Okay, so this is where we are on our elbow and on our knee, and then hand is up, and we're gonna bring our hand through the space between our torso and the floor, and then come back up. Okay. All right, we're gonna do this for time. We'll start in 10 seconds. So again, so you're being supported by your elbow and by your knee. 3, 2, 1, and up. So come this way, pull through, and then up. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Once you've done a few, you can switch to the other side. Okay. So we're resting on our knee and on our elbow. We'll give folks another 10 seconds to switch. And if you're ready to go, let's go ahead and begin. So, right hand up and come through. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna go for 6 and 6. All right. Very good. Whew. All right, and that finishes our second block. Okay, so have a little bit of water. Whew. Not gonna lie, so about a month ago I ordered a new running belt, so when I go running I could put my phone and my keys and my water bottle and nutrition, my little gel packs. So I've always been like a 32-inch waistline, so I ordered a small belt, which should be good enough for anyone that's 30 to 32 inches. So of course I get the package yesterday after after my weekend, and I couldn't get my the belt. It's one of the belts that you have to step over and through and bring it up from your feet down up to your hips, and I couldn't get it to go around my waist. So sadly, I had to email customer service and tell them to send me a medium, because yeah, I might just be swollen from the weekend, but yeah, I don't think it was gonna work out. So we'll see what happens. All right, so next we're gonna go with the slow alternating bird dog. So that's when we're here. We did the bird dog already, but now we're gonna go ahead. Well, actually, we go here and we extend, but we do it very slowly, and we're gonna alternate. Okay, so we're doing that. Before I drop my water. Then we have a Superman hold, which you're familiar with. We have single leg glute bridges on the floor on our back. Then we have swimmer arcs, which I'll demonstrate those. And then we have a reverse plank. Okay, so everything's on the floor. So we'll go ahead and start with the slow alternating bird dog. So if your folks are ready, let's go ahead and begin. So right arm, left leg up, and then slowly bring those down and switch. Alright, at the very top, try to squeeze your glutes for a second and then come back down. And let's do that with the other side as well. 10 more seconds. And time. Very good. Alright. Rest a little bit real quick. Gonna do some stretches right now. Okay, our next one, that's done, is Superman holds. Okay, so now we are belly down, head up, feet up, and we're just gonna hold this position here for 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, so we'll start in 3, 2, 1, and up. So chest up, knees up, and just hold. Make sure you're breathing. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Right, next we're just gonna do the cobra stretch here for 30 seconds. So just rest on your elbows here. And then we'll transition to our glute bridges. Alright, so let's go ahead, turn over. So glute bridges is gonna be on your back like a sit-up. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and bring our glutes off the ground, squeeze the glutes, and then drop them. Okay, so we're gonna squeeze and hold for 2 seconds before we come back down. Alright, we're gonna do 10 of these. Ready? 3, 2, 1, up, squeeze, and down, up, squeeze, and down. That's 2, up, squeeze, down. That's 3, up, squeeze, down. That's 4, up, squeeze, down. That's 5, up, squeeze, down. 6, up, squeeze, down. 7, up, squeeze, down. 8, last one, up, squeeze, down, and 10. All right. Have a few things left. Did our glute bridges. Alright, so swimmer arcs. Alright, so the swimmer arc is similar to a Superman. So I'm going to come here at this angle. So this time we're going to keep our head down. So our arms are extended in front of us in that Y position. Our legs are extended below us. So head down, you're going to lift your right arm as high as you can and your left leg. And then you're going to switch, left arm, right leg up, okay? So we're going to be doing 6 on each side. You got that? So again, remember we're here, and then we're here. So try to hold for about a second or two before you switch to the other side. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. And switch. 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 Their last set. Switch. And time. Whew. That felt good. Alrighty. Our last one for this set is our reverse plank. Okay. So remember, for this one, we're sitting here. Your hands are supporting you, and just lift your hips off the ground. If you need to bring your feet a little bit closer, that's fine. Remember, as your legs are further from you, it is going to become a little bit more challenging. We'll start in 10 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1, and up. If you need to bring your feet closer, bring them closer. But try to. Okay, 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Job. Whew. going into our last set. Okay, so we have prone YTW. So we're gonna be in that push-up, on that sit-up position. Sit-up position, on that Superman position, for a few of them, and then we're gonna be sitting down in the chair for the last two. Okay, so 4 more. So quick little water break, 2 minutes, and then yeah, we'll go into our last set. Right, so we'll regroup shortly. Good job. All right, folks, we will be on our bellies for the last 2 on the floor, and then on the chair for the final 2 on the floor. Okay. All right, so we're gonna spend 20 seconds in the Y position. So this is Y position. Then we're gonna go 20 seconds in the T position, so arms here, and then 20 seconds in the W position, which is elbows tucked in here. Okay. Right, so let's go to the floor, belly down. So remember, chest up, legs up, or this is just, your legs could be down for this one actually, so just chest up. Ready? And begin with the Y. Alright, rest a second. We're gonna go with the T position next. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and up, T. Alright, rest. Next is W position, so elbows tucked in. 3, 2, 1, and go. And rest. Very good. All right. Our next one is gonna be prone T. So we're gonna have our arms up to the side in that T position. But what I want you to do this time is your thumbs are up and you're going up and down with your arms, okay? This is gonna be on our bellies on the floor. So again, your legs are relaxed. It's just your chest and your arms kind of do this. All right, here we go. That's gonna be for 30 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So up and down, thumbs up and down. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo. Try to bring your glutes to your heels in one solid motion. Stretch your back out a little bit. And relax. Alright, let's move on to the chair. Move on to the chair. Going into our last 2 movements here. Alright, so this is just going to be a seated scapula wall glide. So usually for this one we would be up against the wall, but we'll just use our back rest here. So just bring your hands up here as far back as you can, and we're going to go up and down. Okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So here, elbows back, up and down. Okay, 15 seconds in. Go as high up as you can. Keep those elbows and shoulders back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Whew. Feel like I want to say my shoulder feels better. I hope I'm right. Okay, and then our last one is our chin tucks. Okay, so chin tucks are gonna be, we're sitting upright, and I like keeping my arms down next to my hips, and I'm gonna bring my chin down to my chest. Okay, so just almost creating like a triple chin version. So I'm here upright, and then chin down, and then back up. Okay, so just working on stretching that upper neck. Ready? We'll do 10 of those, and begin to chin in and relax. In, relax, repeat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Awesome. Good work. Alright, let's go ahead, do a few stretches, and then we will be on our way. Alright, so again, do any stretches that feel great for you. Like I said, I'm working with this tender neck and shoulder, so I'm going to work on that again. So I'm going to sit on my left hand. You could follow along or do your own stretch and reach over. So I think I mentioned to last semester or last term that I have a friend that we would do a lot of trail running over the winter, and he's turning 60 next month in July. And for his 60th birthday, he wants to run 60 miles on his 60th birthday. So yesterday, I'm gonna switch. He sent out details of this event that he wants to complete, or this challenge, and he says he wants to start at 4 a.m. on July 10th. That's a Friday. So I told him I want to start with him. So I'm gonna get up very early that morning and then run 10 miles with him, and then probably maybe come home, relax for a little bit, do the art classes at 9 and at 10, and then go back and do another 10 miles with him. But I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he'll be done, but he'll probably be somewhere in like the 30 miles by that time. So let's go ahead and bring both your hands back here and elbows down. But I think he's trying to do everything before midnight. So he's giving himself, I think a total of 20 hours to complete it. So I'm going to go ahead and look left and add a little bit of pressure to my right chin. And then look right and do the same. Right, and then snow angels. I'm gonna bring my left arm across. I feel like this helps my scapula a little bit. How's everyone feeling? Bring that right arm across. And then if anyone doesn't mind sharing, are we liking this new class setup as far as, how it's working out? There you go, Carmen.
What was the question?
I'm asking if we're liking this new, 2-hour, spot or template.
I do like it.
Okay.
I do like it. I'm not crazy about the floor, but I really feel that it's good. I like it.
Yeah, the floor stretches or floor exercises?
The exercises on the floor. I'm not crazy about the floor in general.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But I like the whole routine.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, good. Yeah, like I said, it's probably going to go in this direction going in the fall, but in the fall will just be Monday and Wednesdays. But at least we'll get, an active hour and then a cool down, stretching hour as well. So,
I feel like we are evolving,
Yeah, and like I said, it's I think we're seeing each other a little bit more, but then also we're being active and then also proactive as far as preventing injuries and any of that stuff. It's not just on Mondays we're being burning calories and on Wednesdays we're relaxing, because to be honest, who knows what everyone's doing on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But now we could at least squeeze in those 2 activities, and hopefully we're just being active throughout the week, most days. So you don't need to be crazy and burning calories every day, but as the guidelines say, it's about 150 minutes per week is usually what we want to work for.
Perfect.
All right, folks. We'll see you
Thank
either
you.
tomorrow or Wednesday. Take care. All right,
You too.
bye-bye. Good job, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
All right, take care. Yep, have a good day. Don't eat much like me.